Welcome. Ooh, that's loud. Don't know why that's happening. Thank you for joining us for today's art break on Glass Art. Hold for just a second. Testing. Okay, all right. So thank you for joining us for today's art break on Glass Art. Before we begin, just a few quick notes. First, a reminder that art breaks will be moving to Wednesdays in the new year, with our first art break of 2025 falling on Wednesday, January 15th. Everything else about the program remains the same. On Thursday, November 21st, we will be co-hosting an artful evening with the Ladies Library Association on the artwork of Michigan lithographer Betty Beebe. This is a free event preceded by a 5:30 reception in the lobby. Please drop by our side table for flyers or visit our web calendar to find more information on this and other upcoming events. It is now my honor to introduce glass artist Ekin and Joshua Davids, a husband and wife team of artists hailing from Edremit, Turkey, and Colorado, respectively. Ekin and Josh draw from a unique combination of culture, heritage, and experience to develop new works of glass art. Ekin began working with glass in Istanbul, Turkey, before studying in the Czech Republic and eventually attending the graduate program at West Texas A&M University. Josh discovered glass at the same university while seeking a master's degree in the fine arts. In 2015, the couple moved to Kalamazoo to manage Glass Art Kalamazoo. There they taught classes, created events and demonstrations, and honed their skills in the hot shop before moving to independent practice in 2020. Their work is exhibited in internationally renowned galleries, museums, and private collections around the world. Please join me in welcoming Ekin and Josh.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. We've got some slides, some nice images, a couple of videos, and I hope it isn't too boring for you. So my name's Josh Davids. As you said, I'm from Denver, Colorado. Found myself here in Kalamazoo in 2016, where we joined the team at the newly kind of reestablished Glass Art Kalamazoo. And through kind of the time here in Kalamazoo, we've been able to build our practice and grow our skills and our collaborative work to kind of become independent practicing artists over the last couple of years.
And hi from me. My name is Ekin. First of all, thank you, Miriam, for the introduction. That always helps. I'm from Turkey. I've been in the States for 10 years. I just got my citizenship this year. So I'm super excited. Thank you. It is special. So now I'm fully Turkish-American glass artist. Here lives in Kalamazoo. Super happy to be here today. Like Josh said, we have been working together for 8-9 years now. We teach together, practice our craft together. Also, we share our collaborative art together. So we are going to talk about it a little bit. But before we jump into more in the art part, we would like to talk about our background a little bit, who we are. So next slide is our family. We have 2 pups, Lino and Jax. Both names are coming from glass. So of course we had to do some connection. They are good studio dogs. So they come to the studio with us and help us make work. This is it for us, 4 of us. We live and our studio is in our house too, in our basement. So they're very familiar with being around art and artists.
Yeah, and then so next up we have kind of short video that Discover Kalamazoo put together for Glass and Us. Play that. Glass blowing itself is roughly 2,000 to 3,000 years old. Super elementary. Fire, water, and you can see the material change right in front of your eyes. Something happens amazingly fast. Such a challenging material to work with, and that's the big part of what draws people of us to them. Is the difference of mastering it and the way that it presents materials to sculpt.
The glass because it's hard, it can be a bit challenging. Just being in front of that open space, 2,300 degrees furnace with hot glass in your hand, and you have to keep it turning, rotating on center, and keep moving, keep heating, and keep shaping it.
Work is super physical. Get in the studio, gathering, and the dance of moving around and shaping. That's basically 2,000 degrees saying. The mastery of the material is evident in the products.
Even when we work all day, sometimes we just take the kayaks and get on the Kalamazoo River, just walk down the river, breathe a little bit.
It's awesome to step out of the studio and then be able to jump on the river 5 minutes away.
I love the rivers around us and the hiking and walking. We have a dog, so he loves being outside. He loves the water, he loves swimming. We get on the river, he gets bored of looking at the birds and ducks and stuff from the kayak, jumps off, takes a little swim. And then when he's done, it's time to get on the kayak, so Josh grabs him and puts him on the kayak. He's back on.
In a studio where everything's fast-paced and happening now and working hard, like getting out on the river, you are in the nature and away from the hustle and bustle. And it's that moment to take a breath and center yourself and
Slows down.
Yeah, enjoy what's around you. Having stuff like this available is super important when we're making art. We take a lot of what we're surrounded by and try to emulate and put in our artwork because it's something that's so incredibly beautiful. How would you not want to transfer that? It just steeps in your mind and dream about it. It leads into all aspects of our making process. All right.
Thank you for watching it. It's a really good video of a little bit of the town that we live in and how it inspires us. So we really like to show it, and it kind of shows a little bit of studio too. If you haven't seen glass blowing or any of that stuff, it gives you a little bit of idea how that part of our work process works too.
Yeah, so I guess we'll go a little bit into how we got here. This photo is in the city center of a small glass town in the Czech Republic called Novibor. And actually, Ekin studied there kind of right into the beginning of her glass art career.
I studied sculpture and fine art. After graduation, I did not know glass or any material that moved me so much like glass does now. So when I accidentally run into glass blowing and glass furnace where I used to work in Istanbul, I saw some maestros, big names, make big glass blowing stuff in like 4 or 5 people teams. So I really wanted to do that. I fall in love. So when I was researching how to learn how to become a glass maker, I came across the Czech Republic being a very accessible, beginner friendly, but really hard working, creating really hard working craft people place. So I moved there for a year to learn how to blow glass, where also there was a international glass symposium in the same year. So Josh went there with his professors, and that's how we met there through glass when we were in a glass symposium. So this town is special. It's, if you want to go to or have been to Czech Republic, go check out Novi Bor. It's like a small town full of glass.
Yeah, and then so a year later, I ended up there at Camocay in just outside of Istanbul, Turkey. I was there for several months, kind of taking classes and also interning a little bit with the hot shop team there. And it turned out that Ekin had returned from Czech Republic and was working there at the glass furnace at the same time. So we kind of re-met again 1 year later.
I was helping for the summer, more assisting, translating, and I wanted to do my master's on glass because being a student, especially if you want to do it outside your country, it gives you more opportunities to mess with the material, a little more freedom. So I wanted to go do my master's and keep learning glass and also be able to explore ideas. So meeting Josh again here gave me the idea of looking into his master's program where he was going in Texas. So I looked into it and I decided to move there to join the program.
So 2 years later, we
in Canyon, Texas.
ended up married in Canyon, Texas. The young lady to our right is Laura Donifer, who is kind of major figure for women especially, but very major figure in the glass art movement for the last 30 years or so.
Mm-hmm. So we got the honors to be married by her. And then we didn't want to stay in Texas. We wanted to come by this side of the country. There were more opportunities and more family. We didn't know any more than that. We just wanted to get this side of the country. So we moved here to South Bend first, where Josh's mom was living at the time. But then we found out about Glass Art Kalamazoo. And at the time, Glass Art Kalamazoo was reopening. So rebranding, rename. They needed studio managers to do a lot of that rebuild job. So Josh and I jumped in, moved to Kalamazoo, and helped them rebuild the studio, the programs, and most of what we offer now. We still work with them today. That's how we moved to Kalamazoo.
Yeah. And so at the time that we kind of got here, Glass Art Kalamazoo, formerly the West Michigan Glass Art Society, was almost all but shut down. They had some difficulties, and they were in a period of transition. And it just worked out that we kind of got here at a time that we could help them kind of move forward. And so it was such a beautiful opportunity and very serendipitous in the way that it worked out with our timing, the way we got here. And then we were just kind of pulled into Kalamazoo, and we're super grateful because it's shaped our lives. It's shaped our career in a major way. So part of, let me keep hitting buttons.
Nobody could see it. Perfect.
Right. This is a photo from what we call one of our sister schools in Benton Harbor, Michigan. This is Water Street Glassworks. So a major kind of part of our practice began with teaching. We always find that we become better practitioners through the sharing of our work and of our art. And we always like to have fun with it. It's not a sterile thing. We enjoy personalities, we enjoy the fun, and we enjoy working together.
Glass blowing is a good time. So this is at the end of the class when we challenged everybody to make a fun hat. to celebrate the end of good 2 weeks of intensive class. So also we teach summer camps. We love working with kids. Creating new generation of artists is one of our, I feel like, duties, jobs, and giving them a little bit of love of how to create something with your hands. So this pictures from Glass Art Kalamazoo summer camp. We have our operations manager back there, and a group of kids that we had during the camp. We encourage them to have also fun, because the practice of glass blowing can be intense. It's hot, it's hard, it's very it needs your attention full time. So if you don't mix it up with lighter hearted times, it can get really intense and stressful. So you want to add that kind of free time to breathe and smile, so you can enjoy the practice and have a better time. So that's one of the moments.
It's been really interesting too. We've been here for 8 years or so, and watching some of the younger kids that we started with in kids camp are now returning as adults, and continuing the practice,
teaching,
becoming instructors, and growing in the material.
So also we love to do public demonstrations. If you can't tell, these are all us dressing up and showing off what glass can do, while we're also creating theatrical setup. So when we're making objects that are themed, we like to dress up for that, so to get people excited about it, and promote glass art.
This is another shot from Water Street. All the other stuff was Glass Art Kalamazoo, but we do like to travel around as much as we can, just sharing and enjoying and doing what we do, which is our cityscape sculptures. So this is the work that we do collaboratively, that has kind of propelled us into the realm of early career to early mid-career practicing glass artists.
Mm-hmm.
And it all started really with my first kind of travel to Istanbul, where I was struck by the kind of magnitude of the city. It's this place that's been inhabited for thousands of years, literally, and just built and built and built. And the city is just overwhelming if you're not ready for it. So after returning from the glass furnace, I went back to Texas to finish my master's degree, and this was my very first cityscape that was put in my master's show.
So these are all individually standing glass cast pieces, standing on a long piece of mirror. So he was hoping to capture all of the layers of the city and the pattern. So he also spray painted the painting behind it, like a sunset, I would say. Yeah. So during this time, I was assisting him in the school, but also I was practicing my skills and developing my sculptural ideas. And Texas was impressive with its, where we lived in Texas was Amarillo, Texas. If any of you know, it's I think it has the biggest sky in the world. There's nothing but sky, like you're in a dome, blue dome. So I was really impressed with that. And I cast this piece out of glass to catch that, kind of capture that moment of being swallowed by sky. This is supposed to express the 360 degrees of, fisheye lens look. So the cuts around the round piece is symboling things around us, like the landscape. So we made these pieces, and we were individually working on this kind of line of work. But when we're in Kalamazoo, with the...
Well, I would say, being in art school is one thing. You're pushed to make art, but then when you leave art school, there's a reality check. You have to go back and make a living. You have to operate in the real world. And so I think after we left art school, we sort of left a lot of these ideas alone and went and started producing work, learning our own skills, kind of leveling ourselves up, and just trying to find our way in the world. But after a time, so we're in Kalamazoo for several years, and part of what our mandate is as studio managers and glass artists at the center there is finding ways to make your own work, not just producing objects, craft objects, but finding ways to make art. So these are kind of our two divergent ideas, but as we were working through some of our processes and coming back together and deciding like how we make fine art objects, it kind of
merged naturally.
Yeah.
We at the time also, you can't blow glass by yourself. It's really hard to do, and we love working in the studio. Whatever we're making, make it together and learn together, grow together. So naturally, we ended up making things together that developed in time. That we started also adding more sculptural elements into it and experimenting. So that's how the cityscape sculptures came. So one of us, comes up with an idea of the form and the shape and the technical detail, and then how we can make it better. Next time we add more, and then we end up with this sculptural object that we have. Both of our ideas are coming to life, and we have a good conversation in the work and around the work while we're making till the end. So this is how it came up, how the body of work came out.
Yeah, and this is our kind of very first rendition of what we now call our cityscape sculptures. We were lucky enough to be invited to take a show that we had started at Glass Art Kalamazoo and display a larger version of it at Southwest Michigan College in early 2019. And again, throughout this, whether it's Glass Art Kalamazoo, the Arts Council of Greater Kalamazoo, we've always been very well supported by the community here, and it's helped push us into some of these spaces and allowed us to do some of these more complicated objects. So these are the earliest rendition of the cityscapes, and now we'll talk a little bit about how we actually make these objects.
So for you who might not know or seen glass blowing before, we are using molten 2100 degree glass. This is like a lava at the temperature or look or act when we gather it out of the furnace. And the glass that we use is clear, so you have to add color if you're trying to make colorful objects. So there's many ways of adding the color into the glass, but this is what we like to do. We purchase rods of very intense colors that are also glass, and apply them into our body. So this picture is from there. The bars on the left are raw colors, and there's going to be a video in next slide that will give you a little bit more idea how we add that glass color on the bubble.
So again, the color bar that we get is highly concentrated. Most glass you'll see that you ever see is close to 90% clear with that small concentrated pigment layered somewhere inside. And so over here on the left, this is a heated section of that color bar.
No.
Oh no.
It's sideways.
Yep. All right, so that video didn't work out too well. But the color is dropped and then wrapped around layers of clear. So we can add clear and then stretch layers of color around that. Then when we blow, we have a nice solid
Color bubble.
pigment. So what we also do is we construct colors in different layers throughout the piece. So we have color that we usually situate on the very surface of the glass, and then different layers of color underneath to sort of shift the color spectrum and to show different things. So again, on the left here, this is what we call a stuff cup. So that's color that's on the very surface. It's been wrapped around a lot of clear and inflated into this large cup size. And then I can take color on the inside of my bubble and drop it into that cup. So by doing that, we have, again, layers of colors. So there's surface color and then interior color, multiple interior colors. And that allows us that when we come into the cold shop, we can deconstruct our color setup.
So after we pick up all the colors that we need in the piece, we start blowing this bubble into the size and shape that we like. So it goes round like a sphere first, and then we go and flatten it. Here's a quick fun video. This is all playing with 1,000-degree hot glass. It's blown bubble basically, and Josh is giving it a little bit air while I'm smashing it down to a flat coin size or shape. So that's how we create our bubble base that we call blank in the hot shop. After we have this blank glass that you see in the middle of the presentation here, we have these bubbles. We take these into the cold shop, and our cold shop cutting and polishing process begins.
Yeah, so I kind of mentioned it just a minute ago. We construct our colors in the glass in layers, and then that's all done in the hot shop. When we cool the glass, we then start to deconstruct those color layers and deconstruct our glass bubble.
No.
No.
It's really loud, so we didn't put it. It's really loud when you're cutting with saw, so that video is not going to play, and that's good for you. So because so we take the glass, and we have this tile saw. You all are familiar with. It's very nice diamond blade on this saw. We cut the bubble, as you can see, into shapes. It goes very rough first, and then we find these details and make them look like buildings, if in the series especially. So that's how the very basics of the shape starts. And then you can see what on the right, the green piece is completely cut and finished that cold cutting process.
So then next layer is we use on the left, it's rubbery tape basically, and it becomes a resist. So we'll mask the surface of our glass. So again, we layered surface color. So there's a bright layer of color or a thick layer of color on the very surface. We mask that with the tape and remove layers. And then we can carve. We use a sandblasting to cut through the exposed layers of glass. And again, that reveals layers of color that are underneath that surface.
Yeah.
And here you can kind of see Ekin is peeling, removing the tape after we've sandblasted. Mm-hmm. So you can see the different levels of color.
So the light blue is all the way inside, and then we have darker blue on the surface. So when we sandblasted, that's what the resistant did to us, left the dark blue in the surface where we wanted. This is the way that we create designs, paintings, if you will, or anything on the surface, on the canvas of the glass. Here, a little bit about our inspiration. So we in this specifically cityscape series, we'll look at the pattern of the cities. We are not talking about a specific city in our pieces, but we are talking about the idea of the city. So anywhere we go, anywhere we see, anywhere we look at pictures, we see this. We try to see the pattern, how people live and create these huge buildings to live together. The layers of culture, the layers of life. So these pictures specifically symbolizes the colors that we look at and the patterns that we look at, right?
Yeah, and I think what Ekin said as far as a rhythm, there's a rhythm in what you see the cityscape from afar, a rhythm in the act of living in the city, and a rhythm of how those things all like grew together over time, and we try to capture that in some of our work.
Details from different pieces that we made. So you can see some similar color scenes and patterns. We're going back one more time. Some gold details and saddle colors, and you can see we're trying to do similar effects in one of them. So next we can talk about a specific series that we made in the cityscapes. We both love Istanbul. Obviously, we talked about this already, but there is I'm sure you all know Hagia Sophia in Istanbul that we both got inspired heavily in this series. So we looked at these patterns and shapes and impressions in this gorgeous building, and we incorporated that into our series that we made. So we're using the modern shape and touch and the feeling, as well as the Arabic Oriental details that comes from the history of my side.
Yeah, but I think it's like a melding of a little bit of Western culture too in what we're doing with glass, the way that we're making, and the sort of modern treatment of the material. So I think it becomes a very strong metaphor for our collaborative work together.
Mm-hmm. This was a good conversation for us to have and work on. It's always a special one. And how many miles of gold gilding did you have to do on these? We ended up measuring, but I don't remember.
It was a lot. Yeah, I don't remember offhand, but too much.
Mm-hmm. Oh.
Too much for my hands and back for sure. And now we have sort of a selection of some of the work that we've made over the years. And again, I hope you can kind of see the layers, different layers of color. We're also working and thinking a lot about the transparency of the glass, how the two surfaces will interact with each other in light or with light. Another thing we kind of haven't touched on yet is just how special we find the material of glass because of the way that it interacts directly with light. And I think there's a reason that we both choose to work with glass. Part of it is personal and selfish in that it's a very difficult and
challenging,
interesting material to physically work with. But then the other part would be this sort of eye candy that you get after struggling with it for so long. And it's really quite incredible.
Makes us excited.
Yeah.
And we try to play with the colors, thinking the transparency in this part of our time of working too. So you can see a lot of that sunset colors coming back again in this work. These are two-sided pieces. There's no back or forward, but you can flip them around, but you can also see through them. So you can see from one side shows the other side. So it kind of puts you into the work too. You can move and the piece will start moving, giving you that illusion also, like it's in the air. and it's like light.
Yeah, and even another kind of layer of metaphor for our collaborative process. You know, we're both two separate people that come together to make this single object, and you know, there's not one side that is the front or one side that is the back in these pieces. You know, it's just a amalgamation of the light as it reaches your eye. So recently, you know, in the video that we showed, we talk a little bit about how nature inspires and influences us. And, you know, we started working with cityscapes, but we are really interested in both the natural landscape and the skyscape as well. And this is a work that has been really
We are
fun for us to,
leaning
yeah.
towards lately. This is 2024. We've started using the sky and the natural elements. You can still see the cityscape on the pieces. So we're trying to now talk about the human-made and nature-made and the conversation between those two. So it has been very exciting to see how the work develops and gives us more to talk about. So in this piece, actually, you can say, oh,
Something's happening.
something crazy is happening. Go one more. Come back. The layers of this pieces, these pieces, they're pretty much, we made a lot of them by now. Blue and the lines in there are symbolizing the long exposure sky photography. So there's a lot, we've made a few more like that. So the lines are created in the hot shot process. Again, we use cane to create those moving stars. And then the piece gets completely covered in black, all the way outside, surface is black. So when we carve, we see this negative, positive. Now the light is playing differently with these sculptures too, since black is more blocking color.
Yeah, and so I can just mention a few terms like cane and the way that we're overlaying colors. So we're taking a lot of these processes, glass processes that are historic and traditional that have been used for 1,000 years, and then we're just trying to treat them in a slightly different way or present them in a slightly different way. So we're taking these ancient and historical methods, ideas, and then kind of modernizing and showing them in a way that we find.
We can talk about how rondelles, these are platters. That's what glassmakers used to, or made these rondelles for window glass. So that's how they spun out glass to use them in windows. And this is not something we found as a technical thing, but we use that process to create something today and different, not functional but sculptural. So these platters are spun, made individually. They are most 20 inches diameter.
So there are 6 platters. The 2 largest are, I think, 22 or 23 inches in diameter, and then there's 20-inch on the
18.
sides, and then an 18.
And they are standing separately. They are not glued. We installed them on a wall separately, so they still move. There's still space in between them, but the imagery on it is one complete imagery. Now we're completely diving into the idea of nature, reflection of human-made copies of nature, and 2 sides of the our idea of world. Still loving the star effect in the glass, and black on the surface that we kept in design is only one layer of black. We create these different patterns or textures in the black by sandblasting them also. So tape, some part is completely taped and never been sandblasted. That's the shiny black. And then there is 2 roughness of sandblasted surface that creates that few different layers of cityscape.
Yeah, and so this is kind of our most recent departure from the freestanding sculpture to wall installation, and we're currently pursuing both layers right now.
So we have more works in the process. For us next is we have been showing at galleries around the country. So they carry our work to their events or keep them in there or show them in their galleries. So there is a next show we are getting ready right now is in Norfolk.
No, Florida.
Florida first, yeah. Habitat pop-up in Florida, and then Norfolk is connected with Chrysler Glass Museum. So that's going to be our next two shows that we are going to be included.
Yeah.
So that's what's in the works for us right now. And we are still teaching and being involved with the community.
Yeah.
What else?
So that's the slides that we have for you today. We'd like to open it up to anyone who has any questions about anything at all. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do other artists have anything like this?
So
Repeat the question.
she asked if any artists have anything like this. There are some artists that utilize sandblasting to reveal layers, but I think that we are fairly unique in the method of cutting and sandblasting in the way that we are. At least I've not seen anyone that's.
So like those cityscapes, either side, those are.
Yeah, those are
Definitely.
absolutely, yeah.
One of the compliments that we hear with love is your work is very unique. And that's something that we've worked really, really hard on, something to be different and use something that we all know, but in a different way. So I'm glad that it reflects for you too.
Go on the far side.
I was curious about the challenge of keeping your balance on that piece, because as you carve, I mean, you must put the balance on it in the beginning when you flatten it, but then as you carve away, balance must keep changing.
Yeah. So the question is about how we balance the piece as we're removing bits of glass or sections of glass, right, when we're cutting.
Weight balance.
Yeah. So one of the ways that we tackle that is in the blowing process. We keep certain sections thicker, so they're more weighted than other sections that we know we're going to cut away. Yeah. So then there's always like that weight balance that we know is in a certain area. And then when we're designing the piece, we definitely try to keep that in mind, but we don't flatten, we don't put it on its edge until it's all been cut away. And then we can reassess and refine the balance point, and we flatten it accordingly. So it's all kind of conversational in the working process, if that makes sense. Yes, please.
Do you have a studio where a person can go and just see some of the pieces in person? It's one thing to see it on the screen. But
So
Sure.
do we have a studio that people can visit?
Not locally.
Not
no.
yet. We're looking. If anybody knows.
Yeah, we are definitely looking for space, but we don't have a place in town that we show or have pieces up right now. But we do have work at several galleries. I think the closest one would be Royal Oak in Habitat, and then just kind of sprinkled around the United States. We have something like 30 or 40 pieces in the world.
any place in Chicago?
Not in Chicago, no.
camps at the Art Trade Center.
Yeah,
Summer camps with the glass blowing kids.
I
Yeah.
tried to get my granddaughters.
yeah.
Couldn't enter in, it was so far.
We had one more. I feel like we missed. Yes.
I've been taking glass for a lot of years, but it seems like blowing glass is beyond the capacity, the body capacity of a person my age. And I'm wondering about, where's the middle ground? Where do you get a chance to, is there a place to do some, incorporate some of the things of glass blowing, but that are less physically demanding? Whereas you just have to.
I have a few ideas.
Well,
Few ideas.
I would say like middle ground could be lamp working. Lamp working is working hot glass, but on a torch. So it's not as stand-up physical. You're more kind of here on a smaller flame. So it's all what you kind of saw in the glass blowing, but scaled down quite a bit. And that might be a way to approach it. And they do offer some classes to that effect at Glass Art Kalamazoo.
That would be a good start. You can taste the soft glass that way. Also, if you have ideas, I'm sure the artists in the community would make them for you. Fusing is, I think you mentioned it's something you can try, but not you weren't too excited about. But fusing can be incorporated in the hot glass too.
I would never knock fusing. I think it's a wonderful thing, but as you get into it, then you get hungry to try it.
Of course, yeah. And I don't know. So just this summer, the museum brought Dan Friday, who's a glass blower, and Carol Luzon, who is a glass fusing artist. And they did a collaborative demo where Carol actually made a nice fused glass plate, basically, that we picked up in the hot shop. So all the pattern
Turned it
work
into a
and
vase.
all the fusing work that she had done then became the base and the decorative aspect of the vase that we made with Dan, or that Dan made at our studio. So
That's a way.
yeah, there are definite ways to, you work with both, I think.
One more.
I'm curious what's your history of sales, as your reputation grows. I would hope that your number of items to sell also grows.
Yeah. It definitely has. And again, it started with sales to private collections. More recently, we have had our first 3 or 4 museum acquisitions. So last year in May, we just sent one of the Starscape pieces to a glass museum in Germany, which is very exciting, kind of milestone for us. We're very happy. And yeah, so things happen with the economy, with politics, sales rise and dip as it goes. But so far it's been an enjoyable way to make our living and, a meaningful way to live our life.
Having a craft in your back pocket is where you go back if, it's definitely valuable skill. So if the fine art is tumbling, we can always go back to teaching or get stronger at the other side of it. So we're trying to balance that to keep it be sustainable in our practice full time. Definitely ups and downs, but we'll get there.
Yeah, never a dull moment. Yes.
You are at Istanbul. Speak foreign languages?
I don't.
So everybody had to speak English.
Yeah, unfortunately, or fortunately, whichever way you look at it, English is pretty easy to get around with. But Ekin speaks English as her foreign language, so it's always nice to have someone who speaks native in Turkey.
I think your presentation is wonderful.
Thank you.
And I think what you're doing is fabulous. Your work is magnificent.
Thank you very much.
So to take this, whatever you're giving us today, take it elsewhere. And I think you're just wonderful.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you all for joining us. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you so much. And we made it in good time.